Simple. Earn his first small target. Mobius commented that Yuan was slowly turning into a money grubber. Then another notification popped up. Yuan had received a 500 Federation coin tip from Lord Sun Lin, along with a message encouraging him to keep up the good work and maintain daily live streaming. Yuan was baffled, since when could a StarNet shop receive tips? Then it clicked. He rushed upstairs where he could clearly hear Yin Yin singing. He burst open the door and demanded to know what the two of them were doing. Both of them jumped in fright. Smarty hastily replied that they were studying. Yuan tried to approach the computer to verify that claim, but the two blocked his way. His eyes widened when he discovered that they had become visual streamers. The chat was filled with praise for the beautiful voice. Many viewers were completely hooked by the song and searched for it on StarNet, only to realize it was an original. Some viewers even sent tips, while others were confused as to why the streamers' faces were blocked by GIFs. The chosen streamer name is Kuei Yin Luo. Yuan shared that if it weren't for the shared income and expenditure system, he wouldn't have known that they were starting a career behind his back. Yin Yin was proud of the name. It was well suited for Yin Yin, who likes eating green creepers, and Smarty came up with it. Yuan noticed how proud she was. They don't dare to show their faces, so it made him curious how they chose the visual streamer track. She answered that Smarty said it's the only way they could create differentiation within the same track. Yuan had to probe Smarty. Smarty answered that he got tired after studying a few hours every day, so he might as well hand the time over to Yin Yin to utilize it effectively. Seeing that the account has been open for a few days, and although there were quite a few bullet comments, there were very few followers. It was a small-time hobby, so he just let them play. Though other soundbirds like to exercise their control over sound waves, their family's Yin Yin had just liked singing since it was little. He stopped being mad since he thinks it was a good thing that they plan to effectively utilize their specialties and hobbies. At this time, it wasn't just a few followers, though. He hadn't realized yet what kind of legend Kuei Yin Luo would become in the streaming world in the future. Those two were happy that they finally got Yuan's permission. But he set conditions that they couldn't accept inappropriate tips. He set the limit to be 500 Federation coins. Also, he wanted them to change tracks and make it to a visual voice actor track. Those two were so elated that Yin Yin carried Smarty on her back and they sped off. Yuan commented that the children had grown up and stopped listening. Mobius commented that those two were quite interesting. Yuan didn't want to talk about them at the moment, since he's worrying how he could make him level up. The spirit key concentration in space has also reached a bottleneck, but it still can't quite keep up with the consumption volume of his nurturing spirit creatures. The prerequisite for leveling him up was to first nurture other spirit creatures to level up. Even though he could accelerate the process by transforming spirit key, he's limited by his own spirit key professional rank, so the efficiency was limited. If he wants to accelerate the process, he needs Mobius's level to increase. It was simply a vicious cycle. Mobius suggested pursuing high quality since it costs so much money, but that won't do. Only by improving the quality of the spirit creature could the spirit creature's level be brought out. He hoped for every single spirit creature to realize their own value. If the Dragon Eye Spirit Siphon Goldish is to advance, it needs at least 3 drops of Dragon Beast blood. For Lily Luara to attempt legendary grade quality, it needs 1 portion of Revival Soil, 2 Redwood Tree Cores, and 1 liter of Flora Spring Water. With that requirements, he had to call Sister Shin. She answered his call, but she was surprised when she heard that he wanted a Dragon Beast blood because that item wasn't cheap. But deep inside, she was thrilled that her judgment was correct. He was truly worthy of a patron who spent nearly 5 radiant coins the first time he entered the shop. She gave him a quote that the price of the gold rank Dragon Beast blood is 80 radiant coins, while for a platinum rank Dragon Beast blood, it's 2,000 radiant coins a drop. If he could take a large quantity, she would give him a discount and a guarantee that it hasn't been diluted. His silence made her ask if he's still there. In reality, he was left crying because he couldn't afford it. He cleared his throat and clarified that he was just asking first. And aside from that, he wanted to order 4,000 caddies of inferior energy stones and 3 spirit siphon goldfish, normal grade. She could easily get him his order. After the call, she calculated based on the restocking speed and expects that he would be needing the Dragon Beast blood by the next time he comes. She planned to prepare since she now has a pretty good patron. 2 hours later, more fish were swimming in the pool. Mobius commented that the delivery was way too fast. Yuan had just finished upgrading 5 web-spraying spiders to epic quality, but the money he earned for the past few days was down to only 0.4 radiant coins again, and the spirit key in the space has been consumed by more than half. He envied those goldfish for living a carefree life. He started feeding them. The first goldfish in the pool started acting aggressively. Yuan was confused, since those fish originally live in the same pool. The transformation pool was only bigger, and yet they started fighting. Mobius answered that he was too naive. He explained that it's the natural selection, survival of the fittest. Evolution is inherently the most creative ability nature bestows upon living beings. So no matter what kind of spirit creature, they would not easily share the spirit key supplying themselves with other spirit creatures, even if they were former partners. Yuan knew it was the reason why the strong get stronger and it's difficult for the weak to rise. Mobius was glad that he was enlightened, though he added that nature was also balanced. The more powerful the individual, the more they should understand coexistence and order. His calm mind temporarily eliminates the aggression of the dragon eye spirit siphon goldfish, and barring any accidents, he expects the other 3 to evolve to elite grade in 5 days. Yuan entrusted that to him and added more ore. He checked his phone and was glad to see that the green creepers sold out so fast. Mobius had just finished upgrading a few web spiders, so he decided to restock them. Yuan realized it was time to deliver to that braised egg, so he left. He entered his online shop and saw someone arguing when the shop already stated that the product was sold out. The girl complained that when she saw the monk, she let him order first, but he actually dared to sweep everything away. The monk simply replied that the Buddha taught them not to rob. She got angrier and grabbed him by the collar. She was angry that she already helped him, and yet he dared to lecture her. She challenged him to meet offline. Yuan yelled at them to stop arguing, or they could take it outside his shop. He displayed the web-spraying spiders. The monk was shocked. He could tell that it was a work of a 2-star creator. The girl couldn't believe that it was an epic quality. Yuan clarified that those were custom-ordered and not for sale. The monk got interested in the requirements for a custom order. He explained that he's temporarily not accepting custom orders for that month and would resume the business next month at earliest. Simultaneously, those 2 asked if he still had elite-grade green creepers. Unfortunately, they were sold out and he won't be selling any more after that. He introduced them to his next products, which were copper-rank green creepers and an elite-grade spirit siphon goldfish. He opened pre-orders for it. The girl offered 5 radiant coins to order a copper-rank green creeper. The monk bids 8 radiant coins for the spirit siphon goldfish. They both wanted those to be reserved under them so it won't be snatched away. Given their stance, Yuan realized that those 2 were used to buying when he even researched about the market price. He warned them that if they argued again, both of them would go straight into the shop's blacklist. He didn't know that those 2 were actually working together behind the scenes. Yuan was left exhausted. He realized that he had to set up the shop rules immediately and then placed it in the most conspicuous spot. The monk said that he would be waiting for his good news, then turned around and left. Seeing that the girl was still standing there, Yuan asked if she had other business. He told her that he no longer had any spirit creatures available for sale. She hesitated for a moment before asking if he could heal a spirit creature. That immediately piqued his interest. She explained that it was a spirit creature with a damaged foundation and serious injuries. Yuan said that if it was below silver rank, he could give it a try. The girl was overjoyed. She said that her daughter's spirit creature could finally be saved. Yuan froze when he heard the word daughter. He couldn't quite believe it. She looked about the same age as his sister. She then revealed her daughter's copper-rank spirit creature. While training near a dimensional rift, its roots had been burned by a horn demon. That surprised Yuan. Horn demons possessed horn fire with withering properties. If it struck a plant-type spirit creature, the damage would be devastating. Now he finally understood why the spirit creature's foundation had been injured. She thanked him profusely and asked about the cost. She admitted that she didn't have enough money right now, but promised that she would scrape it together by next month. Yuan waved it off, saying it was fine. He didn't have the time this month anyway. He told her to bring the spirit creature next month instead. As for payment, he didn't want money. What he wanted was something else: revival soil. She was stunned, unable to believe that this alone would be enough. Naturally, she accepted the deal without hesitation. She promised to find it for him. If she succeeded, they could discuss the treatment fee again. Yuan was genuinely surprised. Even Sister Shin couldn't obtain revival soil, which meant this woman definitely had connections. With that, his revival soil problem could be considered solved. Flora spring water could be handled with money. That only left the redwood tree core. He wondered if it could only be obtained through an auction at the treasure pavilion. Deciding not to think too far ahead, Yuan sent a message to Cloudstream telling her that the web-spraying spiders were ready and that she should come quickly. Almost instantly, she appeared. Yuan was shocked by her speed. She accused him of cheating. How could he produce 5 epic-quality spiders in just a few days? Even she hadn't expected him to be this fast. She assured him that she would roll the transparent spider silk immediately. After inspecting the goods and confirming their quality, she said she was extremely satisfied and told him to ship them out. Her excitement was obvious. Yuan reminded her that one of the web-spraying spiders possessed the skill Deadly Poison and advised her to be careful with her hair. She immediately snapped back, yelling that she didn't get stung on purpose and that her hair was already growing back. After the payment was transferred, she left. Yuan wondered why she was always so prickly, but at least he finally had capital again. It was time to expand production. He immediately placed orders for more materials so he could keep the money flowing. The butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish were also selling well, and he needed to restock green creepers as well. Noticing Smarty's eyes bulging, Yuan asked if he'd strained them from studying too long. Smarty said no, it was just that there were concepts he didn't quite understand. He asked about the complexity of spirit creature evolution. Yuan asked him what exactly he meant. Smarty explained that spirit creature evolution didn't solely aim to strengthen survival or combat ability. If that were the case, spirit creatures wouldn't be able to sustain themselves during evolution. The theory was abstract and difficult to grasp. Yuan tried to think of a more concrete example, so he pointed to the green creeper, something Smarty was extremely familiar with since he ate it every day. Yuan asked him to imagine that he was a green creeper and what direction he would evolve in to ensure survival. Smarty answered that he would get rid of the leaves so he wouldn't be eaten, evolve toxicity to avoid accidental consumption, and become extremely durable while needing less water. Yuan imagined a poisonous cactus instead. Then he told Smarty that this line of thinking was completely wrong. Smarty was shocked. He thought his logic was perfect for survival. Yuan then showed him the evolved copper rank form of the green creeper. Smarty immediately realized how different it was from what he had imagined. It was fresh, juicy, and actually tasted good. It practically looked like it wanted to be eaten. Yuan explained that the green creeper's evolution path was equivalent to declaring to all spirit creatures that it could produce food, and delicious food at that. As a result, other spirit creatures would protect it, nurture it, and ensure its survival. That was how it secured its position in the ecosystem. Smarty muttered that if it were him, he'd still choose to evolve into something completely unpalatable. The worse it tasted, the better. Yuan told him that studying too long had narrowed his thinking. That was why he couldn't figure it out. So he suggested going out for a walk. Yin was happy. It had been a long time since they last went out together. Yuan admitted that they'd relied too heavily on online shopping lately. At a massive screen, they watched the city lord Ling Xiao announce that the Radiant Federation Creators Guild would reform the Creator Certification Assessment. Anyone who completed the 1-star creator assessment within 2 hours could skip 3 lifestyle profession advancement assessments and directly challenge the 2-star creator exam. This was incredible news for Yuan. It meant he could directly aim for 2 stars. He silently vowed to secure it no matter what. Yin also expressed her support. The next news segment focused on the Federation. Recent investigations showed that dimensional rifts would enter an active period lasting half a year, during which an exotic beast tide would emerge. The Radiant Federation would enter a state of combat readiness. Citizens were advised to prepare in advance and not panic. During the active period, the Federation would dispatch spirit guards to help resist the exotic beast tide. Images of spirit guards in full uniform flashed across the screen. Yuan suddenly remembered asking his parents where they were going when he was young. They told him to take good care of Zhui, saying they were heading out for a bit and would be back by the time he woke up. But the next day, an injured man came to inform him about his parents. Zhui woke up and asked where their parents were. Yuan had to tell her that they wouldn't be coming back. She cried loudly. Yuan hugged her and promised that he would take care of her. As he did, he tightly gripped his parents' badges in his hands. Standing there frozen, Yuan didn't notice Yin and Smarty panicking as they tried to get his attention. He finally snapped out of it, hugged them both, and assured them that he was fine. That was their cue to head home. Only then did he realize. The badges his parents carried were the symbols of the spirit guards. When Yuan got back home, he immediately sat down and began researching on his computer. Just as he expected, the dimensional rift that opened on the outskirts of Xia County 10 years ago was indeed resolved by the spirit guards. He read through several news reports. According to the data, a powerful energy source was detected deep inside the rift. He skimmed the news. At 7 a.m., a level 4 swamp dragonfly broke through the defenses, severely injuring 30 defenders before being suppressed by the Wind and Thunder Squad. At 3 p.m., a level 5 rotting bone silkworm emerged, using corrosive attacks and corpse control. The Captain General soon arrived with elite forces and began sealing the rift while exterminating the threat. By 8 p.m., the creature was heavily injured, but the land remained corroded. There were no civilian casualties, though 120 were seriously injured and 53 went missing. The rift was expected to be sealed within 72 hours. The rotting bone silkworm felt painfully familiar to him. He also read that bone-devouring gangrene was a mutual destruction skill, one the rotting bone silkworm could only activate by sacrificing itself when pushed to its absolute limit. Putting all these pieces together, Yuan realized that Uncle Lee was a member of the Spirit Guards. His gaze slowly dropped to the badges his parents left behind. South was lava, north was ice-sealed, the west rose into a vast desert, and the east sank into quagmires. The Radiant Federation existed in the narrow cracks between these deadly zones. Countless spirit creatures roamed within and around its borders. The Spirit Guards were the guardian organization responsible for handling spirit creature disasters and exotic beast invasions. Yuan wondered if his parents had been stationed at such a dangerous post. They had never mentioned it. He noticed faint inscriptions on the badges. After wiping away the dried blood, the number 2837 appeared. He wondered if that was their serial number within the Spirit Guards. He tried to dig deeper online. But a red exclamation mark suddenly flashed on the screen. He had triggered a restricted clearance level. Online searches were no longer permitted. He considered asking Auntie Zhang, but she was accompanying Uncle Lee for a medical checkup. They were old friends of his parents. Yuan suspected they knew the truth. Judging from Uncle Lee's injuries, he was likely a witness to the events back then, perhaps even a spirit guard himself. Suddenly, someone knocked on the front door. It was already late at night. Yuan initially thought Auntie Zhang had returned, but she wouldn't knock like that. Xue was preparing for the 100 Suns recently, so she wouldn't be coming home. Even if she did, she would notify him beforehand. Anyone related to StarNet transactions contacted him through his phone. That made Yuan both wary and curious about who it could be. The knocking pattern changed, as if a different person had taken over. The worst-case scenario flashed through his mind. His ability to upgrade and evolve spirit creatures had been exposed, and someone had come to kidnap him. Smarty and Yin woke up and asked who it was. Smarty jokingly asked if Yuan had stolen someone else's business. Yuan told him to stop talking nonsense. He barely had any stock. There was no way he had stepped on anyone's toes. He quietly instructed Yin that if he retreated after opening the door, no matter who came in, she was to immediately release turbulence and sound spike at the entrance. He cracked the door open slightly and asked who they were looking for. Outside stood a man and a woman. The man asked whether he was the child of Lin Jian and Chu Yan. Yuan asked if they knew his parents. The woman immediately took out a badge, clearly knowing he would recognize it. She said softly that she hadn't expected him to have grown this much. She introduced herself. They were from the Spirit Guards. Her name was Su Jin, though she preferred to be called Auntie Su. The man beside her was Dong Hai. He asked whether Yuan had recently attempted to access the Spirit Guards' internal database. They had traced him through that. That confirmed it. His parents had truly been members of the Spirit Guards. Dong Hai said it was a long story. The aftermath of that battle had been extremely chaotic. Back then, many Spirit Guards carried out missions under hidden identities, which made later investigations difficult. The headquarters' follow-up handling still had unresolved gaps. They apologized for coming so late. Then he handed Yuan a blood-stained piece of cloth. Yuan asked what it was. Dong Hai said it was for Yuan and Xue's future. There was writing on the cloth. Yuan recognized the handwriting immediately. It was his mother's. Dong Hai explained that Spirit Guard missions were incredibly dangerous. That was why Auntie Zhang and Uncle Lee chose to keep the truth from him. They silently accompanied and protected the siblings all these years. He hoped Yuan wouldn't blame them. Rubbing his eyes, Yuan said that he didn't blame them. If anything, it was thanks to them that he and his sister were able to grow up safely. Dong Hai, who told him to call him Uncle Dong, also promised that he had Yuan's back. If Yuan ever needed help, he could come to him. Auntie Su cleared her throat, reminding Uncle Dong of something important. That item had been exchanged using all of his parents' accumulated merits, along with repeated applications from old Zhang and others. Yuan asked what item they were talking about. Uncle Dong told him it was a source seed. Yuan asked what that meant. Auntie Sue explained that dimensional rifts didn't only bring exotic beast tides, they also birthed various treasures known as source-type items. Only when a source-type item was removed would a rift finally close. The source seed was one such item. A source-type treasure capable of sealing a level 2 dimensional rift. Uncle Dong thought the source seed suited Yuan perfectly. He heard from old Lee that Yuan had an accident during cultivation when he was young, which left his body weak. Contracting spiritual beings consumes a lot of energy, but a source seed only needs fresh blood to grow. It does not rely on mental strength or spiritual energy. Yuan carefully examined the seed. Auntie Sue explained that the source seed could be cultivated into a spiritual being. Its abilities and growth path could be guided freely during cultivation. Because of Yuan's poor health, she suggested raising it into a healing-type spiritual being. This would greatly help his body in the future. A healing type also matched Yuan's current affinity. But pure healing alone was not enough to survive in that world. Yuan knew he still needed combat power, just like Daisy, also known as White. Auntie Sue handed him a Federal Central Bank card. It contained 100 radiant coins. She said it was a gift and also compensation that was 10 years overdue. Uncle Dong gave him one as well, knowing that cultivating a source seed and paying for Yuan's sister's schooling would be expensive. He told Yuan to treat it as interest for the past 10 years. Yuan refused to take their money. He opened the door. Smarty jumped onto his head and said that he had 2 wonderful families. Uncle Dong, who had lived at least 20 years longer than Yuan, offered him some advice. He insisted that Yuan accept the money. Auntie Sue noticed that Yuan had only recently recovered physically. She guessed that Smarty and Yin were only at elite level. His peers were already bronze rank or higher, so it seemed that Yuan lacked real combat experience. She asked him if he wanted to know more about his parents' work. There was a level 1 dimensional rift in Xie Prefecture, connected to the Spirit Beast realm. If Yuan wanted, she could take him there to see how the Spirit Suppression Division operated. Even though it was only level 1, it still carried some risk. Before she could finish speaking, Yuan said that he wanted to go. He believed they already knew about his past condition. He had missed too much of the world, and with such an opportunity in front of him, he did not want to let it slip away. Within half a year, the dimensional rift would become active. A beast tide was approaching, so preparing early was the smart choice. Auntie Sue thought Yuan was promising. She believed he had talent. Uncle Dong quietly warned her that they should be more careful. She elbowed him to shut him up. She told him to clear out the insectoids while she stayed close to protect Yuan. She told Yuan to get ready because they were leaving immediately. Yuan checked the stats of her spirit beast. It was a fluff feather snow owl from the overfeather family, snow owl genus. It was platinum rank, 8 out of 10, with wind and ice attributes. Its quality was perfect. It had a skill called Feather Salt, which launched rapid wing strikes while firing sharp feathers. Another skill, Feather Shield, used thick down feathers to block damage. Snow Feather Spike fired cold feathers that froze targets and dealt spread damage. Ground. Snow Stride condensed airflow on the ground, creating an avalanche field that unleashed freezing attacks in all directions. Snow's protection summoned extreme cold to form solid ice shields that protected multiple targets and granted ice resistance. Its exclusive trait, Rapid Freeze, boosted frost affinity and caused ice skills to freeze targets faster. Yuan was shocked. A casual summon was already platinum rank and had so many skills. He had assumed it was a defensive spirit beast. It truly lived up to the reputation of the Spirit Suppression Division. Yin stared at the giant bird in awe. He wondered if he could become that strong one day. Yuan promised to train him as best as he could. Smarty also wanted to go along. Yuan asked Uncle Dong if he could bring the 2 little ones with them. Uncle Dong agreed since he would be guarding them anyway. Both of them were excited to ride such a big bird. Yin loved how it felt like velvet. Xiao asked if she even knew what velvet felt like. Yin said she did not, but that was how it felt in her imagination. Soon they were flying through the sky. They eventually arrived in front of the dimensional rift. Military personnel stopped them and said that unauthorized personnel were forbidden to enter. Uncle Dong stated his full name and affiliation and requested access to the restricted zone to lead a basic clearing operation. After his identity was confirmed, they were allowed inside. They flew forward. The area was already within the range of the dimensional rift. From time to time, insectoids would fall from above. That was why so many violet thorn guards were stationed there. Yuan promised himself to stay cautious. Sudden loud noises echoed around them. Yin and Smarty both clung tightly to Yuan. A spirit beast suddenly appeared behind them. Uncle Dong punched it. Yuan watched in shock as Uncle Dong shattered the insectoid with a single punch, using only body-tempered spiritual energy. At that moment, he truly understood the strength of the Spirit Suppression Division. Auntie Sue told him not to be nervous. Most of the insectoids were only elite level. Very few had reached bronze rank. Even so, Yuan knew elite-level enemies were already dangerous for him. Uncle Dong moved ahead of the group. He summoned his wolf-like spirit beast. He placed it right in the center of the battlefield. Yuan felt uneasy, seeing it surrounded on all sides. Uncle Dong told him not to rush. He said the beast needed some time to prepare. Then he commanded the pack to hunt. The spirit beast was a shadow dreadwolf from the dreadwolf genus of the Dark Fang clan. It was monarch rank, 10 out of 10, with outstanding quality. Its ultimate skill was Eclipse Domain. It had Bite, which tore...